why will a man see a woman across the room, zero in on her face and figure, while a woman might be attracted to something less obvious, like a guy's level of confidence or sense of humor? To investigate this disparity, we ventured out into suburbia and met with a group of men and women who are very eager to discuss these differences. You guys, I want to talk tonight about what attracts. What's that? What is that? What attracts you to a man?
It's hard to say exactly. It is kind of mysterious for me. It's just a feeling that I get when I see him. It's not necessarily.
It's not how he looks.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
There's just a feeling that I get inside.
For me, and I think guys would say, oh, boobs or whatever, but for me, the first thing I look at on a man is hands. I think hands are so important because they have to be clean and they have to be well manicured, but I don't want a guy that goes and gets a manicure, so he has to find that medium balance.
But guys, for the men, is it right to say that visual is your first thing? It's a pure visual reaction?
Absolutely. I don't know how it could be anything but physical first because you don't really know the person.
But some people evoke stuff from one another. It's not really telepathic, but whatever you're describing, there's more than just physical features, right?
Confidence is huge. Starts with the mouth, then the confidence.
The mouth?
The mouth.
Really?
And I think that for me, I can almost tell if a guy is self-confident by the way he talks and uses his mouth and the way he smiles, and there's a lot with the mouth, for me, more than the eyes.
So we agree that each guy has a sweet spot. Let's hear from each of you. What's the sweet spot?
Well, I like redheads.
So that's first, you gotta have red hair. You lucky today.
Well, no, you don't have to. You don't have to. I've certainly dated blondes and brunettes as well, but that's what would strike me about someone if they're across the room.
What else?
Thin. Yeah.
Thin and fit muscular.
Not overly muscular, but someone that looks like they really take care of themselves, that can go running with me. I mean, that's like so important, you know. And a natural look.
Natural.
I mean, there's this saying, you can't be too rich or too thin, but for me, a woman doesn't have to be just all, cut all up and all that.
You like a little padding?
Yeah, I like a little bit of padding. Yeah. But somebody that takes care of themselves.
Yeah. Not out of control. I'll tell you what research shows is men have like laser beams. They'll start one place, they'll go to another, and man, their focus is there. Ladies?
It's a feeling I get when I make eye contact. But you make eye contact with someone and it's like a magnet, just draws you together.
Can you sort of predict what kind of person or who that's going to be?
I can predict that we're probably going to have good sex.
Wow. For the first meeting?
I don't know, it's something about animal magnetism.
So what we're kind of learning is that there are these initial sort of primitive kinds of attractions that compel us into a relationship and kind of sustain us there and keep us there.
I believe most women make up their mind in the first 5 minutes.
Is there something that gives you that, oh my God, experience across the room that you can kind of articulate?
Across the room, a great smile, laughter. Someone that's fun.
Natural, real beauty.
Looking across the room, and it's almost like no one else is in the place except the two of us, and we see each other at one time, and we know that there's just a sexual attraction there. And
is there arousal in that moment?
Yes,
Is there arousal?
absolutely.
And mutual, probably he's having something too.
Yes.
Thanks for participating. This is a very interesting discussion. I think we've learned that men are fairly predictable and uniform in their approach to these things. Women taking more things into consideration, more diversity amongst women. But beneath it all is some very primitive drives that are difficult to get your head around. There's actually a tangible scientific reason for these male-female differences. It originates at the molecular level in our basic genetic makeup. To help us understand the role genetics plays is reproductive endocrinologist specializing in reproductive genetics, Dr. Lawrence Werlin. Why are men so similar one to another as it pertains to their being male, their sexuality?
Well, specifically, when you look, for example, at cells, all cells theoretically have 23 pair of chromosomes, whereas human cells, whereas the sperm and the egg are the only two cells in the body that have half those numbers. All eggs carry only X chromosomes. Only the sperm carry either an X or a Y. So the sperm and the egg come together and they form an embryo. XX is a female, XY is a male. The Y chromosome is specific then only for the male.
The Y is what makes a man a man.
Absolutely.
Is a Y different? Is your Y very different than mine?
Actually, it's not very different. And interestingly, over time, our Y chromosomes, unfortunately, have somewhat degenerated. Not to say that we're degenerates, but...
Not to say we're not. But the Y chromosome is decaying. The male is sort of
exactly right.
fading.
There's much more activity that goes on an X chromosome than on a Y.
And one X to another, one Y to another is pretty similar.
They're very similar, unfortunately.
But one X to another is very different. Very different. So when we talk about female sexual functioning, should we be surprised there are all these differences amongst how women experience orgasm and sexual arousal?
I think that's what makes it great.
That makes you interested in all this. But how does this then translate to arousal and behavior?
Well, I think probably there are specific parts of that Y chromosome that are directed to certain things, like arousal and behavior. And as we said, as that Y chromosome deteriorates more and more, there are only a few things left for us to be involved with. Some of those are probably arousal and behavior.
So the things that make us male are becoming narrower and narrower.
Absolutely correct.
And it seems to be more and more primitive.
We're actually going back to what it used to be.
We're devolving.
That's exactly right.
Fantastic. That's excellent. Well, Dr. Rowland, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate having you.
Thank you.